And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Talk about a game with an exciting name. That would be definitely Pirate Dice. Voyage on the Rolling Seas. I mean, pirates. Arrgh! Woohoo! Dice. Woo! Dice! Love dice. Love pirates. Putting them together should be an automatic win-win. Well, when we went over the rules of this game, I started reading the rules and someone said, "This sounds like Robo Rally." And I said, "Yeah, it does sound like Robo Rally." Well, consistently throughout the whole rule book, this is Robo Rally with dice. Oh, okay. I'm a little surprised that they didn't thank Robo Rally or even mention Robo Rally in the rule book, because this is such a blatant copy of Robo Rally, but that might be okay. Let's take a look at the game. In the basic game, you're going to put two boards together like this. And I suppose you could put longer boards together. There's all sorts of boards. But one board is where the ships start. There's different spots where they start. And on one board, you're going to put the treasure that players are getting to. And you can see that it just so happens to look like a skull. Now, each player is going to get a set of dice, and they're going to get a board here. And this is to complement their ship dice. Each ship die shows a picture of the ship and also how many hit points. So they all start with 6. You pick your locations, and then you're going to roll. Now you're going to roll secretly behind a shield here, and you have 5 dice to roll. The way rolling works is like this. I roll these dice, and then I have to take at least one of these dice and put it on my board. I can put it in any of these spots. I can put more than one die if I want to. So let's say, for example, on my board here, I decided to put this one here on the wheel, and then I say, oh, you know, let's see. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put this one on the wheel, and that's it. I don't feel like I'll put this one here. No, nah. I'll do this, and then I'll roll some dice. I don't really like what I got here, so I have to put one on the board. So I'll put one here on the anchor. And you keep going till people stop. Now, when you put a die on the anchor, you've basically just not used it at all. Now, the rest of the dice are going to be used to move. Now, you'll go by each of these dice down here. If you look at them, you'll notice that these dice have numbers on them. That's, you determine who goes first. The higher number goes first. And so let's say in this example, first I go forward 1. Then I slide 1 to the left. Then I go forward 2. Then I turn to the left. And that's what I do. But we all do our turns first. So everyone does bell 1. This is bell 1. Then everyone does bell 2, bell 3, and bell 4. So it is possible that someone else will get in your way. It is possible that you'll push someone else. If you push someone when you're going speed 2 or 3, based on a dice that you roll, then they will take some damage. If you, at the end of bell 4, if you are within broadsides of someone else, you will shoot them for 1 damage. And again, you will turn this down for damage. As your damage gets lower and lower, you will have dice that get moved into these positions and locked, which means you have to keep that number there until you decide to drop your sails and heal up completely. If your ship completely dies, it's not the end of the world. You just come back on the next turn on a space behind where you died. So you do lose the rest of the turn, and you're down to 5 hit points. But eventually one person gets to the treasure, and then that person is the winner. Now, there is some terrain features on the board that will affect things. It's easier just to look at this sheet that comes with here, and you can see all the different terrain features. Some block cannon fire, some block movement. And there's also different things that you can roll on the dice. Go forward 1, 2, or 3. Turn right, turn left, turn around. Slide right or left. Go backwards. Then there's this anchor and barrel, which, depending on the direction that you put them, will attack someone else. If I put this in my second one, for example, I'll make the person to my left re-roll their die in that spot. The barrel makes you re-roll. If I play the anchor, which is on a different die, let's see which die the anchor is on. Haven't found it yet. Murphy's Law say very last side I look at. There you go. And the anchor will just simply stop someone else's die from moving at all when I point it at them. I can also put one of these in my spot to protect myself from that, but then I'm kind of wasting time. So that's basically the basic game. You're just running around, pushing each other, shooting at each other. There's certain spots on the board that when you, like, if you land in this spot here, this whirl, you'll rotate after you land on it. If you land on these spots where there's rapids, you'll move one space in the direction that the arrows are pointing at. And so the first person to get to the treasure is the winner. Now, you can also play a game where you go get the treasure and then take it back. When you do that, you will then get the treasure die. And this die has a couple special things on it. Has a standstill and fire. You just shoot at other people without moving. There's a reverse 2 that you can use. And I should mention that some of the regular dice, you will shoot, if there's a symbol on them, you shoot after that even if it's not bell 4. And then you can try to steal the treasure from somebody else and get back. And you can also make a game longer. You can connect and make bigger boards. There's all sorts of things. But basically the game works where you're rolling dice, programming those dice to move your ships as you come around and go across the boards, get the treasure, and then go back without getting shot by the other ships. You need to know that I love Robo Rally. In Robo Rally, you have robots. And these robots, you get cards, and then you'll program the robots, and the robots will move around and go different directions and land on conveyor belts and things that spin them in circles and shoot lasers at each other and do all kinds of wacky things. And if you play Robo Rally right, which is a small contained course, it can be absolutely fun. Pirate dice is the same thing, except instead of drawing cards, you roll dice, you put those dice in certain spots, and then you will move your ships. It is essentially the same game, the main difference being instead of drawing cards, you are rolling dice, and since you only need to put one die out per turn, you can re-roll dice and to get the results that you want. The basic game is not good enough, and because it's just too quick. Get to the treasure, big deal. Getting to the treasure and coming back is interesting, but in that regard, the game has a small flaw in that it's almost sometimes not worth it to go get the treasure, but to position yourself so that when someone does get the treasure, you blow the snot out of them and take the treasure back from them. I like the idea of the game. The components aren't bad, but for some reason this game doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't click. I think it's because, you'll get a roll and there's nothing you want. Fine. So you stick a die on a spot, on an anchor. You're just not going to use a die that turn, and then you roll again, and again you really don't get what you want. And that can be kind of annoying, especially when the other person has rolled exactly what they want, and their ship pulls out far ahead, and they're running for the treasure, and you're kind of sitting there, and you're like, I'll get you, but once you fall behind in this game, you're behind. I mean, unless you get miraculously lucky. So, I mean, to me, the way this game should be is you go get the treasure, come back, then there's a lot more gunfighting back and forth, but then there's not a huge... I mean, sure, getting that treasure die can be a big deal because that's a useful thing to have when you come back and fight with, but still, especially in a 4-player game, total chaos as people are running around shooting at each other and trying to get that treasure back from you. It's fun. It's not a bad game. I did enjoy it. But it's just, for some reason, it feels forgettable. It doesn't... I don't like the dice, by the way. The fact that the dice have just painted images on them and you're going to be rolling them so much and moving them around so much, those are going to rub off after a certain period of time. And they don't feel like dice. They feel like cubes with pictures on. I know that's an odd distinction to make, but I don't know how to describe it. When I roll these, I feel like I'm putting some cubes on the board rather than rolling dice. I do like the idea of messing someone else's die up on a turn. I like the barrel and the anchor, but you don't roll those all the time. So you only can deal with those when you get them. It's not like you have a bunch of cards and you're like, is he going to mess me over this turn? He'll mess me over if he happens to roll the right thing. So, pirate dice. Man, love pirates. Love dice. You think the combo of them would be awesome. But it really wasn't for me in this game. It wasn't bad either, okay? I'm not saying this is a bad game. It's a fun, enjoyable game. It's just that when it was over, I was like, what's the next game? And that's not a good feeling for me to have. And that's not, I don't think it's because I'm jaded because I played all these games. I think it's because I kind of expected some more interesting things to happen. And it was more like a move, maybe we'll shoot at each other. Robo Rally, which this game is most definitely based on, is frenetic, crazy, all kinds of things going on, and this game seems to emulate that, but it doesn't bring the sense of craziness with it. And I guess that's the flaw for me in this game, Pirate Dice.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.
There.